Welcome to Gopher Basketball Weekly with Golden Gopher head coach Richard Pitino. I'm Mike Grimm along with Justin Gaard. We're glad you're with us here on this Tuesday. If you're listening on the radio, we appreciate that. If you're watching on the big screen on the computer, we also appreciate that as well. We see Gaardsy in his hoodie and his Gopher Radio Network hat and the football and basketball hanging on the wall behind him with a nice family sign there from his basement. That's beautiful. And Richard,
forget about me, I love you, Mike. Forget about me, I love you. That's
family. It is family. It is. And Richard Pitino from near his offices in the plush new practice facility. Good to see you.
Plush. Yeah, and offices. I have one office, and it ain't that plush.
Well, it's better than the old office, right?
Way better than the old office.
Yeah. So you got that going for you. And you got going for you that you got a nice win on Sunday over the Ohio State Buckeyes, a team that came in ranked in the top 25. And you took care of them, 17 points. You think about in the last week plus, you've got a 25-point win over Michigan State and a 17-point win over Ohio State. I'm not sure that's ever happened in the same season in the last couple of decades when those two teams have kind of been amongst the most elite in the Big Ten. So it's a couple of nice feathers in your cap there.
Yeah, it's we played really well last night. I mean, we really played well offensively. We were very, very efficient. That's the buzzword everybody likes to use, but we shot a good percentage. What I liked is we kind of saw how they were going to play us. We weren't stubborn. We said, okay, they're going to trap Marcus. This is what we need to do, whether it's get a ball reversal to a corner three. Clearly kept going into Liam Robbins, because we had a height advantage there. And I thought our defense was terrific, so overall, anytime you can beat a quality opponent by double digits, it's big, and again, it's weird because we've lost 2 on the road and we've won all of our games at home. I got to remind everybody, there's no fans. So you're playing, regardless of where you're playing, that was a terrific win to be able to win by 17 without the roar of the crowd getting your emotions going. It's hard to do that, in those environments. So a terrific win for our guys.
You've said a couple of times this year already that your guys are taking to coaching and you're learning from your losses. Wisconsin was probably the first time where somebody really took Marcus out of the game, and you clearly learned from it. So what did you take from that? What did you learn from him, and how did they respond to that?
I told the guys, I said, okay, Marcus does not need to average 30 points a game for us to be a good team.
Right.
He doesn't need to average 30 points a game to go to the NBA if that's his goal. Marcus is averaging, I think, 22. He could easily average 17, and he still would be on radars of NBA teams. The NBA doesn't look at your stats and go, okay, yeah, that's what we're taking you. No, it's not the way it works. And we don't need him to do that to help us win. We were too easy to take out of what we were doing. Let's just take Marcus out of a ball screen. And I said, it's got to be 5 guys. I think they're going to come after Marcus. They did. They trapped him. To Marcus's credit, he moved the ball, and other guys, whether it was Gabe, whether it was Booth, they made great plays. Jamal Mashburn off of post traps was able to knock down threes, so that's it. We should have, good teams need to have 4 or 5 guys in double figures. Offensively, we took what the defense gave us. If you're going to put 2 on the ball, we've got to be able to make other guys pay. And we did that last night. And it was a terrific, terrific win. Our guys adjusted throughout the course of the game to what they were giving us, and they saw it. They didn't force it, which was great.
And when you look at what you do with that high ball screen with Liam, if Marcus can get rid of it quick, and it's not easy, right? When you're double team and one of those is now Liam's guy with those long arms, and Liam dives to the basket, he's got a mismatch if you can get him that reversal in the quick entry. And there was 3 or 4 straight possessions there where a smaller guy in the second half basically had to foul him. And when you got a good free throw shooter like we talked about last week, that was, that's a key factor in the whole thing.
Yeah, we went to kind of a side slip ball screen with the 4-man, and they put 2 on the ball, and we were able to throw it back to the 4-man. Eric post-feeded a couple times, or we got the reversal to the corner. But a lot of it had to do with Liam making himself available down there. Liddell's a good player, but Liam obviously has the size advantage on him. So again, I just thought versus Wisconsin, we weren't seeing the game in seeing what they were giving us. Wisconsin was older group, right? I thought last night, we said, this is what they're going to do. Well, this is how we need to attack it. And we were smart with it.
And on the threes, I think about Gabe's set shots, Jamal's set shots. Booth had one. I mean, there was just passing with intention, right? I mean, the extra pass is one of my favorite things in basketball, and your guys seem to really handle that well against Ohio State.
Yeah, and so much of if you can get the ball into the post, doesn't mean you have to score it every time, but they're going to have to converge, and whether they trap or whatever. And we got the ball to Liam. Liam had some great kickouts, and then extra passes. We got some good shots, And again, it's like if they're going to commit 2 to Marcus on a ball screen or 2 to Liam, you got to get somebody else a good shot. And those guys saw it. It's good to see Booth playing well offensively, getting more confident. Gabe more confident offensively. It's that's the key. It can't be just 1 or 2 guys. It's got to be the 5 guys on the court taking advantage of whatever it is that they do. And we definitely moved the ball better last night. We didn't have as many possessions. We had 70 possessions, but we were I think 185 in passing, which was good. You're trying to get over 2.5 passes per possession if you can.
I know on occasion you have pulled out videos and such. Have you pulled out the Norman Dale video where you have to throw 4 times from the movie Hoosiers yet for the team?
I have not done it yet. No, I have not done it yet. I haven't done any of those yet. I mean, it's been a very, very unique year just from the mental side of it, coaching these guys, because I don't think people understand, because they're turning on the TV and they're watching a game that seems somewhat normal. Coaches have a lot of challenges, but this is more unique now than it's ever been. And I just tell people to just look at your own home. How many times you come home and your wife is just like, my God, these kids got to go back to school, or we need to go out to eat. I mean, it's isolation at its finest. And so to get these guys in the right frame of mind is very, very important. And I call myself Dr. Pitino because we've done a lot of that this year.
Go ahead, Grimmer.
I was just going to say, I'd referenced that the other day that you were wanting 3 passes. I said, he's taking a page out of Norman Dale's book. I want you to hold that the little thing he's got, his little playbook, and just don't get kicked out of any games like he did. But
Well, and my wife's been drinking so much wine, she might be like Hopkins coming in on the court if they ever allow her to come to a game and just start yelling at everybody.
Yeah, Scooter, right? Isn't that his name? So we can keep calling her something like that.
No, it wasn't Scooter. It was something else. I can't.
I'll look it up now.
I think it's Shooter.
Shooter. That's what it was. Yeah, Dennis Hopper, great character.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper, that's who it was. Yeah.
1986 for the kids out there. 1986 for the kids. Gene Hackman, Norman Dale. You got to do it.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right, Guardsy, go ahead with some real basketball questions.
Well, Liam Robbins, again, defensively was terrific. 5 blocks, and it seems like he's altering almost any shot that comes into the paint. So how has he developed into defending without fouling? We talked earlier in the year that foul trouble was such a big thing for him. He's staying aggressive, but staying on the court. What's been the difference in him adjusting to everything?
I think it's exactly that. It's just adjusting to the play, and it's not a knock on Drake, but that's a different level with different personnel. They're not going to have as many big guys as we're going to have in our league. And, Illinois obviously didn't do a good job of it. They got him in foul trouble, but that's the key. Is the key in this league, going into 8 years now of being here, is can you foul without fouling, right? And whether it's with your chest, whether it's with a wall up or maybe a little elbow, like that's the key. And he's done I think we talk a lot about offensively, obviously he was really good, but he's blocking shots at a high rate. He had a rotational block where he had, 2-hand block that was terrific. He's got great timing. I've said it before, when you lose back-to-back players to the NBA early, it's hard to replace them. Really hard. It's much harder than people think. Everybody always thinks, if a guy leaves early, it's great for your program. It is if you keep in perspective, what's happening in your program, that you may take a step back when you lose a guy. But to lose Daniel and to be able to replace him with Liam is not easy. So we're fortunate for it. And I think he'll get better and better and better and more comfortable as the year goes on.
We talked in the pregame interview about at Wisconsin, he had blocked some shots, and then Wisconsin got the rebound off those shots. And, what was the, how do you coach that to, hey, whose responsibility is to go get a blocked shot? And you said basically everyone's kind of got to take their role. Well, Liam, I think on 3 of his blocks, not only blocked the shot, but then he went and got the rebound after he rejected it. And I mean, that can't go unnoticed that you finish the play that way. A block is fine, but if it lands back in, Micah Potter's hands for a dunk, it's not that great. But if he gets it and then it starts the break, I mean, you got points off of it a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's like the old Bill Russell thing. I mean, don't block a shot out of bounds. But he's just a little quicker to the ball. I think he's seeing that. I mean, he's playing a little bit lower. He has a tendency to play straight up, and big guys have got to get a little bit lower. So he's just, I think it's just a timing thing. It's when you jump up a level it's not easy to do what he's doing. People see Junior. He doesn't have the experience at this level that he does. And a lot of guys that jump from the mid-major to the high major and we've taken a lot of them, but not as many are successful as you think they are. I mean, you look at Ohio State. I mean, they took Seth Towns. Seth Towns was one of the most highly sought out transfers from Harvard. He's struggling to get his rhythm. Now he's had some injuries. Or the kid Sotos from Bucknell was another highly sought out guy. It's not as easy, and it sounds silly because we have a lot of transfers, but it's hard. And so for Booth to be doing what he's doing, for Brandon to be doing what he's doing, Liam to be doing, that's a testament to those guys because they've been very, very coachable and they're eager to learn because it does take time, and they don't have time, unfortunately.
Well, with Booth, he didn't play well against Wisconsin and played pretty well, against Ohio State. So what's the interim period like for him there, and maybe what changed from game to game with him?
I don't think it's one thing that changed. Like I told him, I'm just like, hey man, you obviously got to get your confidence going. You got a coach who believes in you. Like I'm not going to bench you, but you got to be old enough now. Like for me, I'm in my 10th year of being a head coach. I know that when you win 3 in a row, you're going to get the text messages. You're going to get the articles written. Everybody's going to say, I'm doing a good job. Like I got a text last night from a coach saying that I'm doing a great job. And I think we had talked about it. I said, thanks, man. I went to a virtual coaching clinic, learned a couple things, and I gotten better. Like I know that if we lose to Michigan, everybody's going to say, so like I'm mature enough now and self-aware enough now to deal with that. Well, as you get older as a player, in Booth's case, like you've got enough experience. Like, you're a good player. That, hey, you have a bad game. It has nothing to do with the next game or the next day. And I think that's what it was. The good part about Booth is, and like Gabe has done this, like he's gone through some slumps shooting the ball. He keeps working. And Booth is the same way. That's how you get your confidence. You get your confidence by you don't feel sorry for yourself. You don't live on the internet. You don't live on Twitter. You go to work. You put in the work. Sometimes we forget that. Booth did that, and it's not going to be perfect every game. You don't need to be perfect every game, but you need to move on. You need to have a short memory, and it was good to see him respond that way last night.
All right, let's take our first break. We'll come back. We'll have more. We want to remind you that Sunbelt Business Advisors sponsors Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino. Onward for Business, presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors, wants to be on your team when you buy or sell a business. Onward for Business, the one-stop shop for buying or selling your business and for payroll, insurance, bookkeeping, and more. Onward. More next. This is Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back to Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino, presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors. Onward for Business, presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors. They want to be on your team when you buy or sell a business. Onward for Business, the one-stop shop for buying or selling your business and for payroll, insurance, bookkeeping, and more. Onward. I'm still laughing from Jill drinking a lot of wine and maybe wandering onto the court from that might be the all-time great line of Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino from segment 1 there, Coach.
Well, fortunately, she can't come to the game, so it's not going to be a problem. But, it's quarantine's been good to Edina Liquor on the corner there of Vernon, and I think it's Interlochen. It always says, like, give back to the community. We're giving back. And
the municipal store, it helps the city out. So,
that's why I'm doing it.
As you know.
I'm doing it because I want to give back to the great state of Minnesota and the great people of Minnesota because we love it here. It's a great place to raise a family. And the people are great as well.
I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go with it. Grimm, are you going?
They're very nice people. They're very nice people.
Very, very much so. I want to follow up a couple of quick things on Liam, and then we'll move on to some other things. Obviously, Michigan coming up tomorrow night, which is a key game, and Michigan undefeated. But you mentioned Liam's adjustment period, and I think also an underrated part of that adjustment period is, quite frankly, how different things are from one, the Missouri Valley, great league, but it's not the Big Ten. And then two, early in the season, they're calling everything, right? I mean, there was 40 fouls called in 20 minutes in one of the first halves. Well, now you're in Big Ten play. You knew this would happen. They're letting it go a little bit more. Like if they called yesterday's game or Sunday's game, like they called, I think one of the games, Loyola Marymount, Liam might have been fouled out in 30 seconds, but they're allowing it. And now you have to learn that. And he figured, hey, it's physical. I mean, that two-hand block on the dunk attempt was one of the best blocks you'll ever see.
Yeah, it was a terrific block. This is always the segment where you rail on the officials, I see. So it's, but you are right. I mean, they're going to let a little bit more go in the Big Ten. But it's like you said, I mean, it's an adjustment period. We really felt like when Liam got on campus that we think we got a really good big man, but it's going to take time. And, I think what people have to understand is, and the season's not over, but after 12 games, to have 6 new players and to have so many quality wins is great because it takes time and nobody wants to be patient anymore. But those guys are going to get better if they stay the course. Liam's allowed us to coach him, and he's learning too. He's like you said, and it's all about experience. I mean, you just don't know until you don't know until you don't know, as they say, right? You don't know what you don't know. You got to learn it, you got to see it, you got to feel it, and he's getting better from it. So just got to keep moving in the right direction. I mean, you got Michigan, who's a terrific team tomorrow with. Hunter Dickinson shooting like 71% from the field. I've never seen that as a freshman. They're a tough opponent. So we enjoyed Ohio State. You don't normally anytime you can blow out a really good team in the Big Ten, hard to do. Learn from it, move on, because you got another ranked opponent sitting right in front of you.
Yeah, Michigan, Iowa, Michigan are your next 3, so that should be fun. Jamal Mashburn, we haven't talked a lot about him. Obviously played really well against Ohio State. I think 11 minutes, 4 or 5 shots, took really good shots, which I'm guessing for any freshman, especially one who I'm assuming Jamal had the ball in his hands a lot in high school. He's probably figuring out how to play off the guys. Evaluate kind of his development so far with the short sample size.
Yeah, I what you said yesterday was, or about Ohio State game 2 days ago was, I mean, he took good shots. That's the key with freshmen. It's we know you can make it, but that doesn't mean it's a great shot. And by the way, if you think you can make it, well, why didn't you make it? That's the next thing. But knowing time and score is something where I think he's learning from. But the great part about Jamal is that you talk to him, he absorbs it, and he gets better from it. And he was, I got to find more minutes for him. But it's not easy. And I've tried to explain that to him. Like, you're playing against an All-American guard and, Marcus Carr. You got Gabe Kalsher, maybe the best perimeter defender in the league. Keep getting better. Keep moving forward. Keep staying the course. And he's doing that. And, he's just getting better, a little bit better each day. And it's just by taking to coaching. Obviously, his father did a great job of just teaching him the game and seeing it. So, we really were excited about when we recruited him, and I think he's going to be a really good player.
How much has it helped even Marcus's minutes when he's out there to play Jamal on the ball a little bit more? I mean, is that something you're kind of using and tinkering with to have Marcus out there but not draining him like maybe a year ago?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I took Marcus out last night. He got mad at me. I'm like, Marcus, you want to play 40? You can never come out. You played like 38 minutes. 2 days ago, 38 minutes, like you do have to come out some. And Marcus does get worn down a little bit, because he's ball dominant, where if you get him off the ball a little bit, you give him a little bit of a breather, but obviously you keep him on the court because he's very important to us as well. So that second ball handler is important. Jay got trapped a couple times versus Ohio State, needs to handle a little bit better as well as the other guys. But yes, I mean, if you can have that, because, Gabe is not a ball dominant guard, but he's gotten better at driving the ball. I mean, Gabe's gotten really good at that, playing off of 2 feet in the lane. playing out of the post. You saw a couple days ago versus Ohio State. He did well at that as well. So they're getting better. It's like I told him after the game versus Ohio State, stay in alignment, because the guys in the locker room, if you listen to us, good things can happen. There's never been more noise outside of locker rooms than there is today in 2021, because it's encouraged now to have a voice. And they got to keep listening to the coaches' voices because, we're for you. We're for you guys. We're also for the team. We're for your development. And, keep listening, keep learning, keep growing.
And you mentioned that, you got to find more minutes for guys. And I wonder as a coach what that challenge is like for first-year players that come in. I remember talking to Beeline a few years ago at Michigan, and he had one of those veteran groups. He had like Mr. Basketball from Michigan on his bench, and he was playing a minute a game, and somebody else who was redshirting and said it's hard. Those guys are thinking at that time, they were thinking of transfer. And he's like, the first Wagner, the older Wagner, barely played as a freshman, and then by the time he's a sophomore and junior, he's the best player in the league maybe. So how do you try to, like Martise Mitchell, just as an example, a really good player. You watch him in warmups, and you're like, this guy, he's going to play in the Big Ten, but how do you try to keep him happy? And Mashburn, who's a freshman, who he comes from a team. Guardsy mentioned a high school team. He was at Brewster Academy. I think they have 11 guys playing Division I basketball off that team right now. So he knows what sharing playing time's like. So how is that as a coach, the challenge?
It is the biggest challenge possible because these things right here. Yeah. This is not pro team. This is pro the
radio audience. He's holding up his cellular device.
Yes, a cellular phone. And what you have to understand, the hardest part is not really the kids. It's the parents. It's the AAU coaches. It's the high school coaches. They just don't help. They think they're helping and they don't help. And they're not bad people. They're good people, but they care about the kid first. And rarely is the answer listen to the coaches. It used to be that way. I remember when I was in high school and I didn't play. I remember I came home and I complained about my coach to my dad. Man, he stopped that very quick. But it's just the way the society is moving. It's 2021. I think I've talked about it before. Well, we can crap on my wife again. It's the principal at OLG makes a decision that she doesn't like. I'm going to email her. Why? Why are you going to email her? It's her decision. Let's pull the kids out of school if you don't like what she's doing, which we're not going to do. Respect authority. And it's just moving away from that. And it's really challenging. And they have to see it, like you said, Martise Mitchell. I think Martise Mitchell may have the most potential to potentially play at the next level of anyone on our team because he's a big guard. The problem is there's no red shirts this year. Nobody's redshirting. You get the year back, so they don't see it. But then the transfer portal, man, it's brutal. I mean, everybody's calling. They're looking at box scores, and it's a great, great challenge. You got to try to build up trust. You got to get them to understand the big picture and see it, but some don't. And, you through the recruiting process, you got to be honest as you can with these people and explain to them that they're going to have an opportunity, but it's not going to be handed to them. But also we want to win. Last time I checked, we get judged by wins and losses. So keep pouring yourself into these guys and keeping them confident because I feel bad for the kids. I really do, because they feel like they're letting people down when they don't play. And that's not the case. It's not. I wish I could play everybody 40 minutes. I just can't. There's guys on the bench who aren't playing a lot. Like Russell Westbrook didn't play a lot as a freshman. But this thing is changing right in front of our eyes. It's not me complaining. That's not what I'm doing. I don't want to get ripped on Twitter, but it is becoming a great challenge that every coach is dealing with. They really are. And it's just unique. I mean, everybody wants to have a voice. Everybody thinks they know because they have that information. They don't know. You're not here every day. You don't see it, but we believe in all these kids. Some guys are at different spots than others, and that's okay as well. Keep working, keep going.
Well, and maybe related, maybe not related to that. I know David Mutov, the kid from Turkey, has decided to transfer, leave the program. Don't know what his future is, and maybe I don't know. Maybe it was partially. Hey, I mean, it's tough, right? When you're hoping to play and you just don't have a role yet. What can you tell us a little bit about that and what his what that discussion was like?
It's exactly that. I mean, he wanted to play more. I told him, David, I understand. Like, I think you're going to be a really good player down the road. But this is kind of your top 7 or 8. And I don't think there's anything substantially you can do, like in 1 or 2 practices, that's going to change that. And it's hard for him. I mean, it is hard. You got a choice. Grind it out, keep getting better, fight, or go somewhere else. And, to David's point too, I mean, he comes from a foreign country. There's nobody on campus. He's not feeling the University of Minnesota experience. So he's not feeling as connected as he is. And that's unique, obviously. But, it's like I said before, it's changing in our world today. It used to be fight through it. And not necessarily that David's quitting, but it's almost encouraged now, go find something else because the grass is greener elsewhere. I think with David's situation, it was, you're coming from Turkey to here in the middle of the pandemic. That was probably very hard for him. But it is encouraged to change teams, change AAU teams if you're not playing, or change high school if you don't like this, or email the principal, or email Governor Walz if you don't like it. I mean, like, email Governor Walz, like, I don't like wearing a mask, but hell, I'm going to do it. He's the governor. If whenever the next election is, I don't know when it is, governor elections, if I don't like it, I can vote for somebody else, but he's in charge, and whatever he tells me to do, I'm going to do. And it's just, it is different. And the guys, I think, that see the big picture will be better for it in the end. And I hope they do that, and I hope they stay with it. But, like Booth Gotch transfers from Utah to here, I'm sure the same issues he had at Utah, he's going to have here, that he's got to get better at. And sometimes circumstances are good for guys to leave. Marcus Carr's coach got fired. It's a whole brand new coaching staff. Those guys recruited him. He wanted to leave. Liam Robbins wants to play in the NBA, and he wanted to be able to go at a higher level, like maybe better for him, Brent. So it's not that these guys are always wrong when they leave. Some, it is better. But the biggest thing is, I try to tell these guys all the time, man, I wish it was a locker room full of 40, everybody's playing 40 minutes. It's just, you can't have it that way. It's hard, but, we respect that you're frustrated, but understand everything that we're doing is for the team. And the work should never stop, regardless of if you're going to leave. Like, you all want to play for money one day. Like, the work should never stop. You can always get better. But that's the number one challenge. I was talking to Chris Holtman about it a couple days ago before the game, Ohio State. It's everybody wants to play, and we just can't do it. But it doesn't mean you're bad people. Doesn't mean we're bad people. We want them to be happy. We care about them, but we also care about winning.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. The long contested 2 with Justin Gaard and Richard Pitino is next. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back to Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino, Grimm and Gaard, along with the head coach Richard Pitino, sponsored by Sunbelt Business Advisors, and the long-awaited long contested 2 with Gaard and Pitino.
Well, this is I'm always taking a risk when I go back to like old Kentucky games, Grimmer. And I have the basketball over here. I'll get it for the next segment. The 1997 Final Four in Indianapolis, is one of my great childhood memories that we're never allowed to talk about anymore. But I remember every detail about it. Richard's dad coached in that game against the Gophers in that Final Four. I asked him one time, what do you remember about Indianapolis in 97? He's like, nothing, not much, which annoyed me. So I'm taking a risk here. But Jamal Mashburn Jr. is about to play Michigan. Jamal Mashburn Sr. Played Michigan when he was at Kentucky in the 93 Final Four. Unbelievable semifinal game. You might have been 11 years old because that's how old I was. Do you remember anything about that game in New Orleans, Louisiana, I believe?
I remember Jamal Sr. fouled out, and it was a great game. And I don't remember the exact spot of where it was, but yes, I remember obviously fouled out. And Jamal Sr. was a phenomenal player, just an absolute great player. And I remember, I thought Kentucky had the win and unfortunately fouled out. I remember, obviously, Just, that Fab Five team was amazing. And now you're looking at Juwan Howard over there coaching the team. It's cool to see. So that was a great team. And obviously those Kentucky teams that my dad had were unbelievable. But yes, I remember Jamal Sr. fouling out.
Unbelievable performance by him too. I pulled it up. 10 of 18, played 41 minutes. So he fouled out in overtime, obviously. 26 points. How about Travis Ford, who you just beat a couple of weeks ago? 45 minutes playing there. But that's a couple of heartbreakers for a young Richard Pitino. You got the Leitner shot the year before, then the Fab Five overtime loss. Like what? Obviously, it paid off a couple of years later at the Meadowlands in '96. But when you get that close, when you're kind of watching that, what do you remember about that time period?
Well, I'm not bragging about myself, but I think I handle things pretty well, good or bad. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. And I just think it's because I've been around this thing. It's crazy to think like I'm only 38 years old and, I don't feel it. I don't look it anymore, but I'm still in my 10th year of being a head coach. So I'm young, but I'm experienced, but I also have the experience of growing up around it and just the highs and lows because, I'm not going to crap on society anymore, but, we are volatile, and the ones that can be level-headed and just take the good, enjoy it. When it's bad, it's not as bad as you may think it is. But yeah, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot in my young years in sports, and a lot of great times. I mean, a lot of phenomenal times, but also some tough ones. And the biggest thing you got to do is you can't overreact. You just got to move on and enjoy the good, but don't freak out when it's bad because there's always brighter days ahead.
Grimmer, I didn't get out of bed after the Kentucky Wildcats beat the Gophers in Indianapolis. Like I literally didn't move Sunday morning. And so I didn't have that perspective. Like my dad's like, you want to go do this? You want to go do the convention? You want to go do this? I go, no, Gophers just lost. They were up 55-54. Bobby Jackson hit the three. I thought it was over. I didn't get out of bed the next day, Grimmer, until I went to the title game on Monday.
My dad always says that Kentucky lost to Arizona the next game.
Unbelievable game.
Because Minnesota physically wore them out. Now, I would say it was Nazir Muhammad missed like 10 free throws, but I believe it. I mean, I know Coach Haskins' team were so tough and physical, and now being in our league, like, man, you'll beat each other up for sure.
That, by the way, Guardsy, not getting out of bed the day after a big event, that was good warm-up for you later in life as an 11-year-old. 10 or 12 years later, that was a normal Saturday morning for you.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, 100%. Were you allowed to get into the Fab Five, Richard? Like, were you allowed to, given that your dad's coaching, you probably recruited a lot of those guys, probably, obviously played against them. Because, I mean, I just remember when they came through here in 92, what a phenomenon those guys were and how they really just, took the college basketball world by storm. What do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely took it by storm. I think was there a 30 for 30 with them?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was awesome. That was so much fun to see. I mean, it's cool to see like Juwan Howard. Like Juwan Howard's like the nicest human being ever. I'll probably hate him, when we play him on Wednesday, but just a really good guy. I see Guards, he's moving his hands. I'm very concerned with what's going on, but there's the basketball.
My wife just came in here, so here's my Bobby Jackson Final Four ball.
They didn't take that from you? Did the NCAA take that from you?
They don't know I have it. There's probably going to be a collector coming here in the next couple of days. I went to a Target store after that season to get Bobby Jackson's autograph. So there you go.
The administration may take take that from you.
Sorry, Mark Coyle. Sorry, Mike. It'll be Where's Bicky that calls me.
Where's Bicky?
That's the sad thing.
He'll come with a knife and take the air right out of him.
Still have it.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Fab, yes, that was no, I was not into it, obviously, because they were the opponent, but that was great for basketball, for college basketball. And we got to, I will say, like, I think Stephen Bardo the other day, I was watching Luka Garza against Rutgers, I think, and we have become consumed with NBA, and we're not enjoying these kids in college. It's almost like a Marcus Carr, like, can he go to the NBA? Is it like, stop, like just enjoy him for what he is. Like, and the Fab Five was that. I mean, it was a bunch of dudes. They were fun to watch. They had great swagger and confidence, and brought eyeballs on college basketball. We need more of that. We don't need to be in a rush to always, Luka Garza, he's not a pro. Well, okay, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. He's a phenomenal college basketball player.
Right.
Enjoy it for what it is. And I think people really embrace that team.
No doubt about it. Well, there it is, the long contested too. That was fun. Guardsy holding an illegal basketball.
I'm going to take this into Williams Arena. I'm going to put it in a case somewhere without telling anybody.
See how long it stays there, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think the vacated Final Fours and stuff is the dumbest punishment ever. It's so stupid. I mean, there's other ways. I mean, I'm not condoning any type of illegal recruiting or whatever, but it's pointless to do that. It makes no sense.
Yeah, indeed. No doubt. Because it happened. It really happened. Like I
was there. I didn't get out of bed on Sunday. I was there.
And it's always very difficult for a head coach when they try to brag about when you have good wins or good seasons. I never know what the official versus unofficial is. It's very, very confusing and very hard to do when you've had a lot of vacated seasons like we have.
Well, you use it to your advantage. You say, like when you beat Louisville a couple of years ago in the NCAA tournament, technically that was like the first second NCAA tournament victory in like 50 years because half of them didn't count in the 90s. So you're good there. Use it then when you can use it to your advantage. That would be my tip.
For sure. No doubt.
All right, we are due for a break. Let's take it. Our final segment will preview tomorrow night's game against the Michigan Wolverines, an unbeaten club in the Big Ten. That's all straight ahead. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back. It's our final segment of Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino here on this Tuesday. Tomorrow night, Minnesota takes on the Michigan Wolverines in Ann Arbor. Michigan is 9-0. And a good challenge for the Golden Gophers on the road. 7:30 the tip. Spencer and I will take air at 7 o'clock. And, Coach, this Michigan team has obviously gotten off to a nice start. We had heard about Wisconsin and Iowa and Illinois as the three teams to maybe beat, and they might be at the end of the day. But this Michigan team, I'm not going to say they have snuck up on people because certainly they were going to be good. But here they are atop the standings, the only unbeaten left in the league. Yeah,
they're terrific. They've got talented players. I mean, Wagner's great. Big Kid Dickinson's great. Point guard's great. Juwan Howard's doing an unbelievable job with them. Offensively, they're hard to guard. They're defensively very sound. So it's not a surprise watching them that they haven't lost because they're very confident and they're well coached and they're playing well. But it's like anything else. I mean, I remember going into this stretch and all anybody wanted to talk about was our opponents and they didn't want to talk about us at all. And I'm not boasting or beating my chest, but we've got to be confident. Like, is Michigan a really good team? Yes. I think we have moments where we're a really good team, so let's focus on the scouting report. But the number is the number. They haven't lost. They're really good. We respect them. But let's try to be ourselves out there and be confident and see if we can go get a really tough win.
One thing you talked with Spencer and Grimmer about post-game was, the road games, how you've got to be, you're the fans, I think is what you told the team. And obviously the net rankings came out, and which we know is a perfect illustration of just how good a basketball team is. They're peerless, I think, in examining how good a team is. Illinois was 4th, Wisconsin's 11th. So you've lost to two really good teams on the road, obviously. But is that something, do you feel like the energy has been lacking? Is that why you wanted to bring that up with the group? Like, we have to bring our own, whatever you want to call it, juice, togetherness, whatever, to be the fans on the road?
Well, there's no fans at home either. So
why'd you say
there's no difference. So, like, what I told our guys before the Ohio State game is we need to be the fans. So I say it at home too. There's no fans. I can't say it enough. There's no fans in the building. There's like 50 people in the building. We haven't played well on the road. We played Illinois, who a lot of people have going to a Final Four. We played Wisconsin. A lot of people, they're like 30 years old in the starting lineup. They're a terrific team. So I don't know. I think it's all going to kind of flush out towards the end of the season, but it's a weird season. There's no fans. There's no environment. You have to have energy at home as well as on the road, and we'll see where it all kind of, and I think with the net too, it evens out. It's good to release it because people are going to talk about it, but it'll even out in the end, so I know that we've gotten some really good quality wins in St. Louis and Michigan State, Ohio State, and Iowa. Got another one right in front of us. Every trip is unique. Like Michigan, we're not even allowed to watch film together. Every state is different. But at the end of the day, like, we're playing in front of empty gyms, whether it's in Williams or whether it's on the road. And we haven't had as many road games because we changed our schedule because we're playing in a pandemic. So it's very, very unique. But again, it's sure there's going to be, you're going to feel more comfortable in your gym because you're used to playing in it more so than on the road, which that's an element. But yeah, the team that where the bench and the coaches and everybody are fans, you know, you're going to maybe get through these dog days a little bit better.
And it's important too, because, you know, if you're out of it, I do think this, we've talked about it. If you're out of it on the road, it's hard to create that energy. Sometimes you feed off the hostility. But if it's close, we saw that in the Maryland-Wisconsin game. That Maryland bench, it's a close game. It's late. It's in Madison, and they're cheering and they're jumping, and I think that does energize a team when it's on the road. So obviously the key probably, you know, I mean, no coach would say it's not, is getting off to a nice start on the road and being in a competitive game as you get to crunch time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably a little overrated, to be honest with you. Like, I've played against Wisconsin for 8 years. They're not an enthusiastic bunch. That's not a shot at Wisconsin. Like, I don't even think Bo Ryan even focused on it. And Greg Gard, who's a terrific coach as well, like, they just keep doing their thing and running their stuff and defending, you know. So yes, enthusiasm is very, very important. But I think more than anything right now, more so than ever before, because you're playing in front of empty arenas and so on. But you know, execution also matters more so than having the pom-poms out on the bench. You know, I mean, it's what you're doing on the court. But yeah, you got to fuel each other, you know, because like I said, it's going to be a long season. You're isolated way too much, like we all are. And I always, you know, I have an expression with our guys, like I listened to it on a podcast, I thought it was really good. This guy said, you know, being a leader, you better be a fan. They better think you're a fan of them. And there's no greater example of that right now is my players got to know I'm a fan of them. The teammates on the bench have got to know whoever's on the court, we're fans of you. We're rooting for you because we don't have 12, 13, 14,000 rooting for us. Or conversely, on the other side, where people are on top of you yelling at you, it brings you together a little bit. So definitely very unique environments. Older teams seem to be handling it better. You know, I thought Wisconsin, obviously we played them. They were just terrific, and they were so methodical with what they were doing. So, yeah, there's definitely a blend of it. But at the end of the day, you could scream and holler all you want on the bench. You have to execute on the court as well. So whatever gets you to do that, I'm all for. But a lot of teams are different. I've had some rah-rah teams. I've had some rah-rah leaders. Like Marcus Carr's not a rah-rah leader at all, but he's a really good leader. You know, you'd like that, but you don't have it as much as you think you would. And I'm even not really a rah-rah guy. Like Eric Curry was kind of giving me crap one day because I was saying, hey, bench, man, you guys got to be. He goes, what about the coach? I said, you know what? And he was kind of messing with me. I said, I'm trying to fly the plane, Eric. I can't be cheering as well. I'm trying to think about that as well. So there's a million different ways to do it. But at the end of the day is how can you get it right on the court? And how can you execute properly?
All right. Well, good luck tomorrow in Ann Arbor against the Wolverines. Another opportunity for another big win.
It doesn't get any easier, that's for sure. But that's why you come to the Big Ten. You know, I mean, there's so many great coaches. There's so many great programs. And you get better. You learn. We learned from Wisconsin. You know, Wisconsin showed us go inside. And our guys saw it, and they said, okay, like, you know, Wisconsin's very smart with that. We've learned from every game. And we'll learn something from Michigan as well because they're very well coached and they're a terrific team.
All right, very good. Tomorrow night, Ann Arbor, 7:30 is the tip. 7 o'clock, we'll take care. There's Guardsy with his game ball from the Final Four that didn't happen in 1997.
I was there.
We'll talk to you next week, Guardsy.
All right, see ya. I'll bring more memorabilia next week, too. We got it
all
down here.
Can't wait. We can't wait to see it all. All right, Gopher Basketball Weekly presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors. This is Gopher Basketball Weekly from Learfield IMG College.